CBS News correspondent Scott MacFarlane joining us now to break down some of these top issues that we're following. Scott, I want to start with the Department of Education. All eyes, of course, have been on the cuts that were announced this week, but I want you to talk about maybe the recent lawsuit. California and 19 other states now suing the Trump administration over what he wants to do. What impacts could this Department of Education cuts have on school districts?
Yeah, California's Attorney General taking the lead on this legal challenge, trying to stop the cutbacks at the U.S. Department of Education, arguing that they're not lawful and also that they're detrimental. And that's because so many people, according to supporters of the Department of Education, misunderstand what the U.S. Department of Education does. They don't handle local curriculum or local school construction or the busing or feeding of kids at schools. They deal with larger, more macro issues, getting federal grant money to states to help them run their local schools, helping college-bound students apply for financial aid, help students with disabilities get their services. These cuts are severe. More than 1,000 layoffs or reductions in force in an agency with just about 4,000 workers. It's a big chunk. And Trump supporters and supporters of the cut say it's a good thing. Critics say it's a bad thing. We're about to find out who's right.
Well, let's kind of shift now to those universities and colleges here. Of course, all eyes are on DOGE and the cutbacks that they're making at the federal level. I spoke to one of our local university researchers here yesterday who said that they're living in fear right now over the potential of their money being cut. I mean, what, if anything, could we see as this evolves over the next, several weeks and months?
There are several different hoses of money that could be turned off by the Trump administration. Among them are universities that help with programs and that foster programs that ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion in their schools. That now could risk federal money because the Trump administration is taking a stand against diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. They're also trying to cut off some grant programs, be it medical research grants, university-bound grants. All of this impacts the bottom line of colleges and universities, which ultimately impacts the bottom line of their students and their employees. This is at the forefront of what a lot of local delegates to Congress are trying to advocate for, but this is moving full steam ahead with the Republican Congress not dialing back these changes made inside the Department of Justice or inside the Trump administration's grant programs.
Certainly something to watch. I want to shift now, talk tariffs and the tension right now. We are the largest producer of almonds here in the U.S., here in California. I mean, talk about these farmers, not just the farmers, though, but potentially the consumer when this starts to have a trickle-down effect on exports.
You really are hearing that from the California congressional delegation, not just those who are in heavy almond areas. You go down to the Central Valley and you hear different concerns about retaliatory tariffs that go back and forth and turn an initial tariff battle into this metastasizing tariff war, which not only hurts growers and all the local companies that deal with agriculture, but ultimately jitters the stock market, causes more sell-offs, impacts your 401k, and that can cascade into consumers dialing back what they spend, which ends up triggering a potential recession. You can see the concerns there, but the Trump administration is digging in, as this week concludes, saying these tariffs do have the potential for short-term pain, but long-term gain as manufacturers come back to the United States, triggering the creation of more jobs here. They're saying there's a long-term prognosis that's good, even though the short-term prognosis is scaring not just those in the almond industry, but people nationwide.
Sure, absolutely. We've got so many industries here, all eyes watching what this is going to impact. Scott, we appreciate you taking every question we've thrown at you here today, giving us your insight. We really appreciate your time.
Anytime.